So let's now turn to the Ministry of Health's Public Health Communication Specialist, Natasha Letzum, to find out what is being implemented to raise awareness about the Zika virus. Natasha, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right. First of all, tell us what is taking place regarding the public awareness and education campaign from the ministry's standpoint.
Well, from our standpoint, because we really don't know, there's so much unknown surrounding Zika, our aim right now is just to have information going out there. We want to empower persons with that information so they can make the decisions in terms of our key messages, which are personal prevention. We want you to, like Dr. Georges was saying, protect yourself and protect your children from mosquito bites. And we want to, like Mrs. Penn was saying, to clean up our surroundings and do these weekly inspections and train people. So definitely that's what we are looking at, sending out that information, promoting that information, basically trying to rally the troops to jump on the bandwagon to ensure that we reduce that vector here in the territory.
Right, certainly. What are the key messages you're sending through your campaigns?
Now, one, personal prevention. Like I said, we want to reduce mosquito breeding sites. We want to educate and inform vulnerable groups. And when we're looking at vulnerable groups, we're talking about the tourism industry. We're working with our tourism partners to, encourage and inspire industry partners to, have someone that will do these weekly inspections to reduce the mosquito population on their properties respectively, and also to be more aware, to comfort the guests, maybe have repellents and other things that could be at their disposal for the guests when they come. We're looking at the construction industry. We know that is one area that could be a big breeder of mosquitoes, and we're trying to mobilize them and send the messages that we want them to reduce the breeding site on their property, whatever house or whatever they might be constructing, to be aware, be vigilant, to cover containers, to avoid breeding mosquitoes. We're looking at the schools. We're working with the schools. Actually, next week we're supposed to be going into Leonardo Delville to shoot a promotional video. So we want to, encourage the students. We'll take them with us as we identify various areas on the school, that would be potential breeding sites and how we remedy them. Teach the children to pass on the information so they too can, be more vigilant and help with the efforts. And also we're looking at the fishing industry, boats, derelict boats. We spoke about derelict boats and derelict vehicles, and these harbor a lot of mosquitoes. And so we want the fishing industry to remain vigilant. If you use your boat, keep it covered, make sure the water has a way to run off. If you're not using the boat, perhaps turning it over or covering it with tarpaulin. That's what we're looking at in terms of the key messages in educating vulnerable groups. Then the transfer of knowledge, where I spoke briefly on. Mrs. Penn mentioned it earlier that they are offering training. So for tourism partners, any group or anyone representing a group that is willing to be trained, they will contact the Environmental Health Department to get that service done, to help promote a sustainable movement, Like I know you spoke of earlier that, this is the latest fad. And once it dies down, then, people might be back to their ways of breeding mosquito. But we're trying to inspire a change of the paradigm. We want people to, keep it on the forefront long after Zika has passed.
Certainly.
So that's what we're looking at.
Right. So you mentioned personal prevention, and certainly Dr. Georges would have touched on some of the key messages in terms of, or the preventative measures that can be taken in terms of wearing insect repellents and those types of measures that you can put in place. How are you distributing the messages? How are you getting the messages out there?
Well, right now we have a lot of mediums we're going through. Recently we did a similar program where we had Dr. Georges and Mrs. Penn on the program, basically informing the community about Zika. And recently, Dr. Pada issued a statement on Zika that was also circulated. We have about 2, and we're working on a 3rd brochure that we actually, when we go out to the house-to-house inspections, and wherever we go, we would leave this information with persons so they could get acquainted, read up on it. And one of the instruments we're going to use also is the checklist. So we want to distribute the checklist to various persons in the community so they have something to reference when they do go out and do these types of surveillance in their properties. And also we're looking at mobilizing communities. Right now we're in the process of targeting Just Van Dyke. On February 25th and 26th, the environmental health team will be, the vector control team will be on Just Van Dyke. I'm doing house-to-house inspections, and that same weekend on the 27th, then we're going to be asking persons, you know, to put out their bulky waste. So more information will come out on that at a later date, but we are trying to mobilize community cleanups. And after that, we're going to be, in the first week of March, we're going to look at the hotspot area in between Paraquita Bay and Boggers Bay that Mrs. Penn was talking about earlier. And we're going to do similar activities there where the inspection team is going to go out to the premise-to-premise inspection, identifying things in people's property that they can remedy, and then we're going to mobilize with the Department of Waste Management to get, you know, all that stuff out. So we, as the Ministry of Health, we're definitely, you know, doing things to promote and also to help ease the frustration. So we want people to clean the yard, but we're going to help you do it.
Right, great. You spoke about Just Van Dyke. What about the other sister islands? Would any inspection be done over there? Anegada, Virgin Gorda, Peter Island, and the others?
Well, I know right now this is the beginning part of it, and they wanted to concentrate on the areas with highest indices right now. So right now, this is what we're doing for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then thereafter, I suspect that other areas would be identified, but I think it's going to be done on a basis of need.
Right, right. You also spoke about the need to change the way of thinking about mosquito breeding and not just only focusing on times when we have situations that arise, but going throughout the year. Would the Ministry of Health be continuously sending out messages throughout the year to prompt or remind people to keep reducing mosquito population and preventing mosquito bites? Is that part of your plan?
Definitely, it's a part of the plan. It's ongoing because normally we do send out things with fogging and what's not, but we're trying to really instill in the minds of the people that fogging alone cannot help. Yes, it helps to, you know, the nuisances of mosquitoes when there's a lot in the air. You know, you want people to fog, and I understand that. But if we don't have those other preventative measures in place, then fogging becomes useless. And it only gives you ease for 1 or 2 weeks. So we definitely need that paradigm shift that I spoke of earlier, and we really want to encourage persons to get on the bandwagon and look out for your neighbor. If you know you live next to someone who may be in a vulnerable group, an elderly person or somebody that's incapacitated, you know, lend a helping hand, you know, do a little surveillance on their yard, because the mosquito in their yard will affect you. So we want to promote that togetherness during this campaign.
Right. You spoke about a video production as well. When are you expecting to release that?
Well, as soon as we get it done. We had some great communication with the Leonardo Delva Primary School, and we're scheduled to go into the school next week to have it filmed. So as soon as we get it edited, it will be released. And we actually want to, you know, put that on a DVD and share it with all the schools, because we want to use it as a teaching tool. So we'll definitely have that going out to other schools, and we will share it via social media and any other outlet. Persons can request copies, so we'll have it available once completed. Right,
and of course you'll share it with DDM, because as you know, we have been assisting in sending out some of your messages in terms of text messages and on our Facebook page as well.
And I've seen them, and they're awesome. And you know, once again, we would love to thank the DDM for, you know, the coordinating and all the help that you guys have lent to us in this situation. And you know, when you hear DDM, that commands a lot of respect, and I think I think that goes a long way. So we definitely appreciate your help.
Right, and we will certainly continue to partner with you. Any final comments before we wrap up?
Well, my final comments would be for everyone to just basically pull together. I would like to see us educating our children, you know, take them out with us, and then perhaps, you know, you can actually, you know, pass on that chore to them as part of their chores, that they could just go out in the yard every Saturday or every Sunday and do weekly inspection. Try to transfer that knowledge. You know, basically that's all we want you to do. Reduce mosquito breeding sites, do your weekly inspections, you know, prevent mosquito bites. and basically stay informed, empower yourself with information regarding Zika and any other disease that may have come about.